Stages of Life Medical Institute to be live on the internet. Who knows? Is the internet still here? How about social media? It's so hard to find out, but it's a true story. Hey, guess what, David? David Klein is here. The doctor is in. And
you can follow me on Parler.
Oh!
Broadcasting live
Very
from
nice.
the United States of America.
Okay, stay
You're
tuned.
listening to the Living Sexy Radio Network, playing the sexiest music on the planet.
It's time for Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein. Have a medical question? Call 407-422-1212. That's 407-422-1212 or text 23680.
Wow, it's already that time. Sunday afternoon. Things go so fast. As I think it was Ferris Bueller said, you gotta take a moment every once in a while. Hi, it's Melissa Fox, and it's time for Stages of Life Radio. We are live on the radio and on the internet, too, on social media. What's left of it. Yeah, we are live on some sort of Twitter, maybe Facebook, Twitch, who knows, Parler. I'm trying. We'll get it done. It's time to talk to Dr. David Klein from Stages of Life Medical Institute. He's here today in all his glory, broadcasting out of his own house, though.
Yeah.
How you doing, Doc?
I'm feeling pretty darn good. I'm sitting in my wife Tessa's office, so I'm borrowing her place because it's a whole lot neater than my office. She goes, "Oh, but you know, people are going to look at the books behind you and they're going to know they're not yours," which is exactly true. Okay, I'm not into interior design or decorating. However, I did stay in Holiday Inn Express last night. So what is it all about, and what would I like to discuss today? And I'd like to start off, before we take any questions, on survival strategies this year for the plague, the COVID, the issue that's been trashing our country, our economy for the past year or so. Happily, it's been trashing everybody else as well, so it really hasn't hurt our competitive nature except with China. So what is it all about, and what can we do, and what do we need to look at? Well, the first thing is that even with the inoculation, the vaccination, which is right around the corner, I had my first dosage last Tuesday. It takes a month to get the second one, and it may take another month before you see an appropriate number of antibodies before you see any resistance. So what does this mean? Well, it means the obvious. It means you can get sick at any time. The second thing is what level of antibodies do you need to have in order for you to have impugned, resistance to the bug? And the answer is nobody really knows, although I think I have a pretty good idea what the level is. So what are the sorts of things you can do, and what should you do in the meantime to protect yourself? And more so, what do you do should you get sick, either in the middle of getting your inoculations or shortly before? So I've got, my best friend went out and I think he's getting his inoculation this evening. But he was scheduled the end of March and managed to get an earlier appointment. So he's a little older than I am, so it puts him nearly 80 years of age, but he couldn't get an inoculation until March, the end of March. So there are going to be people out there that are going to be running around without protection. There are going to be people out there running around with protection. So these masks that we wear, the things that we're doing to protect ourselves, were they to work that well, nobody would have gotten sick. So why are we looking at the highest infection rates that we've seen since the process began? And the answer is it was predictable. It had to happen this way because if you slow down the introduction of the virus into the general community, the herd, it's going to blunt it for certain. But it doesn't prevent the infection from getting out. In medical terms, it goes something like this. You can run, but you can't hide. So what do you do? Okay, you'd better plan, that should you get sick, you'd better plan that should you fall by the wayside, that you've got certain things in your pocket, certain things in your medicine chest, at least certain things in and available to you, so that you can protect yourself, your family, and maybe do well with it. So what could I possibly be talking about? Well, coronavirus has been studied far more than any other virus that I've seen in my I guess, 42 years of history within medicine. Nowhere, no place have I seen any disease studied this thoroughly, this rapidly, and this completely. It's a fascinating kind of a thing, but just the same, simple procedures, simple preventions, and simple interventions will save your butt. So what does coronavirus do? And I think most everybody understands, well, gee, it attacks the respiratory tract and ... Well, that's not all that, really not all that true. Yes, it does see ACE2 receptors in the respiratory tract, and that's actually how the virus gets into your bloodstream. You can't rub it on your skin and get COVID. You can't rub it on your forehead and get COVID. It actually has to go through these ACE2 receptors. Where do you see them? You see them in the nose, you see them in the respiratory tract, but most of them are actually in the digestive tract. Now, that's how it gets in. But what causes the damage are those same 2 ACE receptors in the blood vessels. So the infection begins either as a digestive issue or as a respiratory one, and then progresses to the vascular. So you have time to keep out of trouble. So what are the indicators that seem to be early in the diagnosis of COVID? If you believe the stuff that was out there early on, you would say, well, gee, we're going to check everybody for fever. As it turns out, fever was not a very predictable indicator that you were sick. Wouldn't you know? Most of the people that were checking temperatures didn't even know how to use the thermometer and wouldn't touch you if they did. So the temperatures they were getting were inadequate. So you missed lots and lots of people. But the good news is it made it look like you were doing something to protect everybody, when in fact you were doing nothing but playing around. So what do you want to have on hand? What do you need to get? What do you need to buy? And what should be sitting in your medicine chest? Well, the first thing you want to look at are those things that it takes to keep the respiratory tract from shutting down. The problem with coronavirus, as it is with influenza, is the disease itself doesn't typically kill. It's the secondary disease states that kick in. And with coronavirus, it's usually pneumonia. So you'll end up catching this disease. You'll end up feeling cruddy. I mean, it's not a lot of fun. And then you start feeling better. 5 or 6 days into it, hey, I'm feeling pretty good. And that's when the dehydration comes in. And when you end up with these little plugs, these mucus plugs in the respiratory tract, it causes shunting, a drop in oxygen saturations, and in elderly people that can kill them. So what do you do? Now, back in the day when I was in general surgery, one of the orders we used to write post-operatively was turn, cough, and deep breathe every 2 hours. TCDB Q2H. Okay, that's what we used to write. Used to drive the nurses nuts because they'd have to go around, take everybody, turn them, slap them on the back, make them cough, and that would make them happy. That was back in the day when nurses actually did that. So then nurses, time started to become even more valuable. The hospitals had to cut back on expensive people, so they started putting technicians instead of the nurses. And they gave you this little thing called an incentive spirometer. And there are people out there that'll go, oh, that's that little thing that you blow into and it makes the balls go up and down. The key word is incentive. You have to incentivize the patient to take a deep breath and push it in. That's hard to do when you're a piece of plastic. So first thing you want to do is to get yourself something similar to that. They cost about $20 at a medical supply house. Buy one, leave it in the packaging, and take it home. Why? Because it will teach you how to properly deep breathe. Second thing is you need to make sure that the phlegm, the garbage in your chest, stays nice and loose. So I will use N-acetylcysteine, or NAC, combined with guaifenesin, sometimes known as generic Mucinex, and you take it around the clock. What does this do? It keeps it nice and loose so you can cough it out. If you do that, you won't get pneumonia. There are going to be some other things we're going to talk about after the break. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is how not to die.
Ooh,
then we're going to start talking about what you have to do to maintain your sense of smell.
How not to
then we're
die.
going to start talking about what do you need to do to keep your blood pressure from shooting off the roof. So these are the things we will be discussing shortly.
Okay, the text line is open as well at 23680, and they want to know about government-run health care.
Yeah, there we go.
No, it's coming. Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Other people want to know how the first shot for the vaccine went that you took. So we'll take care of all of that.
You'll catch it.
Yeah. We'll find out about all that coming up. And if you want to talk to the doc personally, 407-422-1212. Stay right there. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is Stages of Life Medical Institute. It's radio. I'm sorry, Tony just made me laugh. He's on the internet. Says it smells like patchouli in here. It might.
There we go.
What the heck are you talking about, stud? Tony. Let me see. I got a couple of texts here for you. Let me see where this one just went. Yeah, the government-run one is the best. How safe... Wait. How safe is stevia?
Stevia?
Yeah, for diabetics.
Okay, your best bet. Stevia, it's just like every other artificial sweetener. It will stimulate the pancreas to kick out more insulin, which for most diabetics is not a good idea. You're going to think, well, gee, the problem with diabetes is I don't have enough insulin. Adult onset diabetics have too much insulin. It's the insulin receptors that are problematic.
Gotcha.
So if you take stevia, the brain is going to think that you have a dietary load, that you have sugar in your bloodstream. It dumps out more sugar.
Sorry.
It's a problem. So your best bet as a diabetic is to learn how not to add sugar or any sweeteners to your diet. And that's not that difficult. You just simply stop. And then the taste buds will readjust after a very, very quick period of time. It may take 3 weeks, and all of a sudden you will never put sugar or any type of sweetener in your tea or your coffee or anything else.
Oh, I like
Good question, though.
That was a good question. There's another one I got. So, again, these are text line questions, so if you feel like we should address them on the radio, let me know. What do you think of saw palmetto and phytosterol blend to promote prostate health?
It's good. Okay, and that's something that we could talk about on the air, but I think that if we do, we'll bring it towards the end.
Okay.
But saw palmetto is called an aromatase inhibitor. It blocks the degradation of testosterone to estradiol.
45.
The phytosterols, okay, work entirely different. Those are antioxidants, and they do work the prostate. So we have a product at Stages of Life called Stud Mix. And what it does is it's got a lot of the saw palmetto in it,
30.
and a bunch of the other medications that are useful to increase testosterone, lower estrogen, and to that, we will add something called beta-sitosterol. And that's a brilliant combination.
Sorry. I'm dancing Heavy D and the boys got me like. Okay, someone wants to know what you said after the spirometer, so hang on here. We're getting ready to come back. And I don't remember what that was. Hey, it's Stages of Life Radio. How are ya? It's News Radio WFLA Orlando. I am Melissa Fox. That's right, from Good Morning Orlando. Taking over the world, actually. Here we are with Dr. David Klein. Oh, it's true. It's true. I start Sunday afternoons and just keep flying right on through the week. Watch out.
Yeah, you finished Sunday morning.
Yeah? Oh, yeah. Join Sunday mornings and Saturday nights with the... Oh, anyway, it's not about me. It's about the doc today. So... Anyway, the phone lines are open, 407-422-1212. Looks like the text line's hot here, too. Doc, you were talking about avoiding Plague 2.0, and someone said, what the heck did you say after using the spirometer?
Yeah, it's called an incentive spirometer. It's an old technology. It's been around a long time. There are people that have these things in their medicine chest from prior surgeries. But if you don't have one, or if you need a fresh one, just go to a durable medical equipment store, Colonial Medical, down on 50, or there's one on 436. They're perfect for this. You walk in there, get it. They're not used to selling them, but that's what you get. And you can work your way through these sorts of respiratory issues without getting yourself into too much trouble. Because it's a whole lot easier to tell somebody, I need you to breathe into this thing and push all the way out, watch the balls bounce around, than it is to say, well, gee, I need you to take a deep breath and cough. Because it hurts, okay? So if you've got somebody with coronavirus, influenza, cold for that matter, the chest hurts. It's painful. So when you take a deep breath and cough against it, it's like somebody banging you in the chest. Not a lot of fun. So the incentive spirometer is a good choice. It's a safe thing to have around the house, provided you decide you want to use it. What else do you need? N-acetylcysteine, NAC, and guaifenesin, which is generic Mucinex. What do these two things do? They used to be prescription items. Now they're available over the counter. But they loosen up the secretions in your chest. So if you've got something down deep that plugs you up, the combination of the two with a little bit of water will loosen them up so you can cough them out. So NAC, you take one capsule 3 to 4 times a day. The guaifenesin, one of them 3 to 4 times a day. Pretend it's a sandwich with the NAC, and then you drink lots of water. Your nose will run. Now, why else do I think that this is important? N-acetylcysteine is magic. It's absolutely magical stuff. So it's used by the Navy. It's used by the military in general when you have blast damage to the ears. So let's say that you have you're in an enclosed space and there's an explosion. Or let's say you're as you were in the Army, you're outside and there's an explosion. It damages the ear. You have hearing loss. So what it's been found that if you take N-acetylcysteine after acute sonic nerve injury, that you reduce, minimize, attenuate the damage to the nerves in the ear. There's every reason to believe the same thing's going to happen to the cilia in your nose, which is where the damage happens with COVID. It's not the nerve that gets damaged. It's actually the little out pockets, the little fingers that are on the olfactory nerve. Yes.
Yeah, I had a question on that because I've seen these things popping up about aromatherapy to rejuvenate or bring your sense of smell back. Is that just,
I doubt it.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
I think
nonsense.
it's hogwash.
Yeah, it's hogwash. What happens is that not all senses are equally damaged with the with COVID. So it damages everything. But it's not uncommon for you to miss the sense or the taste of sour and yet still be able to pick up sweet, or to be able to taste a spice but not be able to smell garlic. So what will the aromatherapy do? It may help you start to resensitize the right nerves, but it won't regenerate anything. What it will do is it may give you the opportunity of start to retrain the nerves in your nose. And that's very smart. But when do you start doing this? The answer is after you clear the illness. It doesn't do you any good to do it before then. In fact, all you'll do is frustrate yourself. But not all senses are equally damaged. It's fascinating, but it may well be the first sign of COVID is loss of sense of smell and taste. Kind of neat when you get right down to it. So what else do we want to look at? Okay, so you have COVID, or you're preparing to get COVID, or you think you might be at risk for getting it, or you just want to make damn sure that if you do get it, your butt is covered. What else do you want to do? Well, the first blood indicator, the first piece of blood chemistry that goes up with COVID is something called interleukin-6. You'll see IL-6 go up before you will see the blood, the CBC change. In fact, you may never see the CBC change. So interleukin-6 goes up, and it goes up hard. That will tell you that you're infected. It's fascinating to watch this. We do interleukin-6s in all of our patients now, and it provides a huge amount of data. It'll raise to a much smaller degree in those individuals that come in with urinary tract infections. But COVID, man, those IL-6s skyrocket. It's wickedly cool. So how do you bring down interleukin-6? You might ask. And the answer is this. Okay, there's a medication called Plaquenil or hydroxyquinone. The problem with hydroxyquinone is that the average person can't call the pharmacy and say, hey, I want to get it. All right, it doesn't work. Okay, so around my household, we do keep it. Why? Because I have the privilege of being able to order it and get it. So I've got it here. But what else can you do if you're not so blessed? You can either make an appointment with us and we'll get it for you, or you can start on something called turmeric. Turmeric will lower interleukin-6. It's a fascinating kind of a thing.
That's spice turmeric?
Curcumin. Yeah.
Okay.
So you're going to want to keep it around the house. We have a curcumin in the office. Now I'm kind of cheap, so I take the inexpensive curcumin. But for my wife, I get her the expensive stuff. And why is it different? Because there's 6 different curcuminoids that are necessary to get the job done, and it costs a little bit more to get the better product. So I put her on it, and I keep the cheaper stuff for myself. That's just the way that works in my household because I'm frugal. So turmeric. What else do you want to look at? Naproxen. Now, that is not to be confused with Aleve or Advil, really. Okay? So Tylenol, aspirin. But you want to get about 500 milligrams to 550 milligrams of naproxen sodium twice daily. Why do you want to do this? Because it downregulates the immune response. If you're going to die from COVID, it's going to be coming from the immune response. Inflammatory response, inflammatory cascade. So what's the dosage? The answer is 500 to 550 milligrams of naproxen twice a day. So if you get the Aleve and you can use it, you need to realize that you have to take 3 in the morning, 2 in the evening. The bottle says 1 twice a day. There are people out there that will not do anything that's not on the label. God bless you, you're wasting your time. So anti-inflammatories. What other anti-inflammatories are useful to have around the house in case you go down? Bromelain, $15 or $16 bromelain. It's a proteolytic enzyme. So you take it in the middle of the night, you feel like crap, you go and you take this stuff and you wake up feeling better. It is very, very inexpensive and has essentially no risk, and it's cheap.
Tanya wants to know if we should take turmeric on a daily basis as a supplement because it has such good qualities.
And she would be correct. And I do, and I recommend it on a daily basis. When you need an extra little kick in the butt, as you might if you got sick, you simply double it up. So she's right. Okay. It's great stuff.
So right now we're learning about how to prepare for Plague 2.0, basically. That's what you're saying.
That is really what this is all about.
Okay.
So these are the sorts of things that make a difference. Now, what do you do should you get sick? Okay, the combination of colostrum and licorice root is magical. You feel awful. Okay, you take 2 colostrum, 1 licorice root, and 30 minutes later, you feel a whole lot better. Will it help the fatigue? It actually does a little bit, but it really makes you breathe easier, and the temperature will drop. So you have a temperature of 101.9, 102.4, and you go ahead and you take the colostrum and you take the licorice root, and the temperature will drop. It's wickedly cool to watch this thing happen. Are they actually antipyretics? And the answer is no. They simply assist the immune system in doing what it does. So what we're looking at is enhancing the body's ability to protect itself, while at the same time helping the body with the antiviral action of the licorice root. So these things are natural. There's no particular reason to believe you have to spend $10,000 for intravenous Regeneron when you can do the same thing using natural products for as little as $40 a month.
And these natural products can be found at stagesoflifevitamins.com?
Absolutely. And my staff, if you call in and you can't figure it out, they'll help you do it. It's not that difficult. It's not that expensive. We ship the stuff all over the country. And if you get it from us, that's great. Happy to help you. If you get it from somebody else, good luck with the quality, but it's not unreasonable. But it's extraordinarily helpful. You have very few other choices here. But the Plaquenil is important because of the nature of the anti-inflammatory, but Naproxen is something that everybody has lying around the house.
Yeah.
So that's where we are with this thing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come back after these announcements, and we're going to start tying it together a little bit and then take some more text.
Cool. And the text line is wide open. You can text us anytime at 23680. That's Dr. David Klein from Stages of Life Medical Institute. We do this live radio show for you. Call-in radio show, as a matter of fact. Yeah. Every Sunday afternoon from 4 to 5, because some things are better in life than football. Just saying. It's a true story. Besides, you'll get a lot of learning done if you hang out with us here on Stages of Life Radio. Be right back. You're listening to News Radio WFLA Orlando. It's another short break, so 2 minutes. So Tony said if you smell burnt oranges, and I'm not sure if you're talking about the peel or burning oranges in a pan, but he says that'll bring your smell back. He's learned that's an old Haitian trick. Okay.
Yeah, I know another old Haitian trick, and it's to take these little dolls and stick pins in them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. it's I'm willing to try anything. However, okay, I can't imagine the last time that there was a COVID infection in Haiti early enough that it would have caused that bit of folklore.
Did you ever see The Serpent and the Rainbow?
No, but if you
it was about hoodoo as well. Where's it playing? Somewhere on YouTube, I'm sure by now. It was a movie from back in the 80s with I think it was Bill Pullman. Anyway, it was about hoodoo and zombies, so I thought it fit right in. Okay, so all right, so you have a moment or so to talk with people. You have less than a minute. Turmeric. Let's see. Love the idea of a coffee filter mask back in the day when the pandemic first started. Yeah, remember that?
It works.
It did.
It works just fine.
Staple here,
more
staple
so.
there.
Yeah, when you're done with it, you can make your coffee.
You can make some coffee. Yeah, so very, very good stuff. Anyway, 37, and it should start right now. There we go. Hey, Stages of Life Radio right here on News Radio WFLA Orlando. How are you? It's Melissa Fox, Dr. David Klein from Stages of Life Medical Institute in beautiful Longwood, Florida. Just a piano's throw off of I-4. Off of 434, really. On the opposite side from the Four Rivers. That barbecue place. You know the deal. All right, so the text line's open, 23680. That's the number. Someone asks, what should they do if they get COVID? And then answers their question, Doc, by saying, should I hurry and go hug the president-elect? Well, I don't know.
There are lots of choices there, aren't there?
There's so many choices.
So little time.
Stay home and recover. Okay, that's really what you should do. 407-422-1212. If you have a question for the doctor that you can't text in, we'll take it for you there. And we're also on social media, what's left of social media, including Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, who knows? I'm pretty sure just search Stages of Life Medical Institute.
Yeah, and I had just made it onto Parler, too. Go figure.
No, you're fine on Parler. I hear they're working on keeping that all going. For COVID, would you use Ivermectin, Pepcid?
Yeah, I use Ivermectin not frequently, but often. Okay. So Ivermectin is a little bit different. It's one of these sorts of medications that you take one time and you're good to go. But the Plaquenil, the hydroxyquinone, I think is a smarter way to do it. One, it's less expensive. Two, it's easier to find. The third thing is that it's easier on the system. And it just simply, all things considered, makes more sense. So ivermectin is good stuff. You have to adjust the dosage for weight, okay, which is the first reason I'm a little bit suspect of it, because the average person's blood volume doesn't really change too much by increased weight. So if you've got a man who's 200 pounds, his blood volume is going to be about 6 liters. You take a man that's 300 pounds, his blood volume is about 6 liters.
Right.
You make him 400 pounds, his blood volume is 6 liters. His brain doesn't get any bigger, but there's a ton of fat in there. So when you're looking at things that have to be adjusted based upon body weight, you're almost always looking at something that's going to be erratic with regards to its response.
Okay.
So Plaquenil, hydroxyquinone, has been around forever. It's useful to treat malaria. It's useful to prevent malaria. We use it to treat lupus. We use it to treat rheumatoid arthritis. We use it to treat fibromyalgia, for God's sake, disease that may not even exist. So people don't like the idea of taking it if they have D's after their name at the voter registration, because Trump said, hey, this sounds like a good idea because it's cheap. So, what do? I tell people, look, my job ends. My responsibility ends after I write the prescription and send it to the pharmacy. You can choose whether you want to take it or not.
Okay, look, we got a few questions quick here. Sidebar, want to know about the vaccines being more plentiful at some point here in Seminole County area? Any
already happening now.
Okay,
it's happening now. So now this is something that shocked me. The county is now opening it up to application to private practices to start administering it.
Good.
So at Stages, that's one of the things I'll be working on this week, is getting those applications together. So, we have 114 parking spaces at Stages of Life. That is a lot of parking spaces for one doctor's office.
Yeah.
Now that's 114 just for my office. So why do I think that's important? Because anybody who's ever gone to a Walgreens or CVS and looked for a parking space will understand that you can't go inside to get your inoculation if you can't park outside. So if you can't park, you can't line up to get in. So I was reluctant to do it. I'm going to start doing it. Now, with regards to Seminole County, they're opening up more and more inoculations. And you're going to ask, well, why? What happened to them? And the answer is this: the hospitals hoarded them. So if you're the governor, who do you think is going to work in the best interests of the community? Well, of course, it's the hospitals. Very, very silly approach to it. It's a little naive. The hospitals are not the biggest businesses in town because they're charitable organizations. They may not pay tax. They may be, not for profit, quote unquote, but they didn't buy that real estate. They didn't pay for those buildings or that equipment because they're not bringing in tons of cash. So what do I think? When they started hoarding them, the governor came out and said, hey, listen, you guys, no more hoarding. And they started releasing it to the general public. And, that's really what's happening right now.
Okay, some of the
releasing
stuff
it
that you mentioned last time about that you should just have around the house in case. Someone who is allergic to aspirin was wondering if they can take naproxen.
Generally, yeah. Yeah, aspirin is an anti-inflammatory, but there are lots of different anti-inflammatories. Aspirin is one of those kinds of things that causes a very unique type of allergy. But naproxen, in all the years that I've been using it, I've never had anybody that was allergic to aspirin also be allergic to naproxen.
Now, I know we're on... go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so do you still take it with caution? There's no question. Do it with your doctor's advice, under the doctor's care, and see how it goes.
Barbara wonders if you are on Plaquenil, can you get COVID?
Yes. Plaquenil is not an antiviral. It is not a preventive. What it does is it helps prevent the cascade that happens as a result of these inflammatory cytokines. So when you end up with a slap, okay, so you end up with a bee sting. Well, why does it start to turn red and swell? What is really going on here? And you might think, well, gee, it's histamine being released. Histamine is only one of 150 different modulators of inflammation. So yeah, if it were only histamine, you could take a Benadryl and never be bothered by a bee sting. Well, we all know that that's utter and absolute nonsense. So what the Plaquenil does is it blunts the cytokine response. Interleukin-6 is an identified, very important cytokine. So if you can measure it, you can see where you are in the disease process. If you can't measure something, you can't improve it. If you can't measure it, it's very hard to detect a disease process. So one of the things that we've done at Stages is started doing interleukin-6 determinations as an in-office lab study. In office, go figure that one out.
That's crazy.
How hard was it? Yeah, how hard was it to do that? Well, the machine cost me about $80,000. Okay, so yeah, I'm like, it's just my lab. I'm able to do what I want to do. But if I can save one person's life, that 80 G's doesn't sound like a lot of waste. So what do you want to do? You keep your eyes and ears open and keep your plan close to your chest. So do you need to keep oxygen at the house? No, you really don't. But you better keep plenty of naproxen, plenty of bromelain, lots and lots of colostrum, licorice root extract. If you can get your doctor to get you Plaquenil or at least have it in his office for you, then you should be in pretty decent shape. Licorice root is an antiviral. Very, very helpful to not only decrease the severity of the illness, but to speed up the resolution of the disease process. So there are a bunch of these sorts of things that you can and should do. It's just a simple matter of gathering and then sticking them in a Ziploc bag and don't touch them until you need them. Now, colostrum can in fact prevent or minimize the damage with the COVID. It does it very clearly with influenza. So how much does it take? 2 capsules twice a day and it reduces your risk. Does it prevent it? Absolutely. Nothing is the magical shield. This is not Wonder Woman out there.
Julie's checking in from our Facebook page, Stages of Life Medical Institute. She said she missed the first half of the show. You can always watch it back. However, she said, I just tested positive for COVID yesterday and I was given a Z-Pack What else should I be taking?
Okay, the Z-Pack is pretty useless. Finish the Z-Pack, because once you start it, you do need to finish it. Z-Packs are helpful if you develop a secondary infection. So that may be of some benefit. I would be asking your doctor to get a prescription out there for you for Plaquenil. The way that this is prescribed, in case they don't know, Plaquenil comes in a 200 milligram tablet. You take 2 of them in the morning, 2 in the evening for the first day, and then 1 twice a day for 5 to 7 days. What does it cost? About $10. Very, very inexpensive, very easy to take, and does not upset the stomach. The Z-Pack, I can about guarantee you, is going to make you hit the commode. It's going to be pretty wickedly interesting stuff, let's say. More so with the Z-Pack, once you start an antibiotic like that, it changes your gastrointestinal flora for about a year. And it's expensive to be taking the probiotics and the prebiotics to recolonize your gut. So you try to avoid antibiotics at any cost, really. But you start to develop pneumonia, that Z-Pack is important. But if you don't, it's really a very limited use. The other thing that I'm going to recommend that you get is a good thermometer, an ear thermometer. There's a company called Braun, B-R-A-U-N, which makes a fine thermometer. It's about $35. Get it on Amazon. They'll deliver it tomorrow. The second thing you're going to want is a finger pulse oximeter, so you can monitor your oxygen sats. So what do? So let's say that you're percolating along. You have COVID right now, and you're feeling pretty decent. How do you know what your temperature is doing if you don't have a good thermometer? If you have a mercury thermometer at the house, put it in a Ziploc bag, put it away someplace, and then take it to the fire department when you can so they can dispose of it as hazardous material. Should you drop that mercury thermometer in your house, you will cause tens of thousands of dollars worth of hazardous material damage to your home, and it will never come out. It's a terrible thing to do to anybody, and that would be to drop thermometer. So pulse oximeter as well as a good ear thermometer. And then let's say that you do the ear thermometer. Okay, you have a temperature 101. You do this. This is a very cool technique. It's called coughing.
Oh.
What does it do? It opens the chest up.
It sure does. Hey, when we come back, we've got something that's not COVID related to discuss.
Oh,
I know. It's toe fungus. There's a fungus among us. Yeah, so we'll be addressing that as well as taking your calls and texts. Text number's 23680. Phone line is 407-422-1212. And any of the products talked about, vitamins, nutraceuticals, can be found at stagesoflifevitamins.com. We'll be right back. This is live radio, my friends. Stages of Life Radio on News Radio, WFLA, Orlando. We literally will be back in 2 minutes, my friends. So we have.
And for the folks that are following us on Facebook, okay, so I'll recap it for you guys. One, get the pulse oximeter. It's about $20. They're very useful to have around, because should you start to desaturate, your oxygen sats drop below 92 or 93, you need to do something about it. And again, I wasn't kidding about the coughing.
Oh, no,
I wasn't kidding. I was not kidding at all. The second thing is that thermometer, because you can track your progress with a thermometer. If you start to develop a little bit of what's called atelectasis, which is sort of a precursor to pneumonia, your temperature goes up. And then if you fix it, the temperature will drop in just a few minutes. It does not take long for that to occur. In fact, it's remarkable how quickly all this can happen. Mm-hmm. So you want to have these two devices for the feedback that are necessary to treat yourself and your family. Now, the ear thermometer, you shove it into the ear, push a button, it goes beep, 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 and then it tells you what your temperature is. It couldn't be any simpler than that. Very important. The products that I'm mentioning are all available at Stages of Life Medical Institute, stagesoflifevitamins.com. If you have any problems figuring out which ones to get, call us Monday morning. We have people there that will be happy to work you through it. Dr. Chris May answers most of these calls for me. So people come up and say, well, what should I take? And Dr. May is very, very polite, okay, and deferential. The guy's a gentleman. But what you want to do is you want to push him a little bit and say, look, I need to make damn sure that I'm not going to end up as roadkill with this, and then he'll go ahead and walk you through it.
That was the wrong button.
Sorry?
That was the wrong button. I need to push it, but not quite yet. Like 20
There we
seconds.
go.
There, yeah.
So what else do you want to get? So NAC, licorice root extract, which
10
is
seconds.
an antiviral. So colostrum, which is gamma globulin, licorice root, which is an antiviral, bromelain, which will help you get past the aches.
All right, here we go.
Very, very important.
Welcome back to Stages of Life Radio. I feel like we're playing the theme song a million times today. I love this one. Picking and a grooving right here. 407-422-1212. You want to talk to Dr. David Klein. It is his show, Stages of Life Radio, because he has so much information to share with us. We do a radio show. He's been doing radio for a long time, too. Yeah, it's got a little practice with 116 parking spots. Is that right?
114.
114. I knew I added a couple on there. That would be right off of Longwood exit of I-4, 434. And, of course, you can find him online, stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com. Doc, I told you right before the break we have a little question about toe fungus. Apparently, this listener texts in and says, I've had toe fungus, same toe, for about a year. Don't want it to spread, want to get rid of it. What do I do?
Okay, there are several things you want to go with. One, and my favorite thing is it's called grapefruit seed extract. Grapefruit seed extract is a natural antifungal and something you can take on a daily basis until the cows come home, and it'll keep it from spreading. So you take one capsule twice a day. The company that manufacturers, my preferred company to do this, is called Nutrabiotic. And their product used to be called Citricidal, but they did better when they just changed it to grapefruit seed extract. And you take a capsule in the morning, a capsule in the evening. To knock it out of the nail, and can you do it? And the answer is yes. It does take a while. You can use the same stuff in a liquid form, which we do keep in the office. We keep both of them, actually. So you dilute the grapefruit seed extract 50-50 with water. So you get yourself a small bottle, dump some grapefruit seed liquid into it, dilute it 50-50 with water, and then you take a Q-tip and you just wipe that across all of your nails. You do that in the morning, do it in the evening, and it'll keep it from spreading. Now, should things get out of hand, or if that seems like too much trouble, you can use chlorotrimazole. You can even use gynolotrimine to do this. Okay, so any guy that's going to go to the pharmacy to buy gynolotrimine realizes that the itch of the nail fungus is a whole lot less of a problem than somebody poking fun at you. Okay, for getting a female vaginal itch medicine. So they'll ask you, what is wrong with you? However, it's none of their business in the pharmacies. So that's how you get rid of toenail fungus.
Okay, all right. So you promised, because I know you did, you got the first of 2 vaccine shots.
Yes.
Our listeners want to know how it went, the whole take us through, okay? First of all, with the website frustrations, okay? Because a lot of our listeners are not internet savvy, and you are kind of on that list at a point. There's times when you get it and times when you don't.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Well, a lot of our listeners on News Radio WFLA also have these issues. So tell us, how did you get on the website finally? How did you get the appointment? And then walk us through what happened with the vaccine.
Okay, so what you want to do is go on the Florida Department of Health website, and they will drag you to a place where it says, click here to get, to sign up for the COVID. Very, very simple thing to do. Once they go ahead and start releasing the vaccines, though, those appointments can fill up very, very quickly. Mm-hmm. So what happens is this. If you sign up for notifications from the state, which I advise you to do, they'll hit you and say, okay, we're going to be opening up another 1,500 inoculations at the Oviedo Town Mall tomorrow at 11. Guaranteed that about 30,000 people are going to hit that website at the same time. So you have to be ready with your computer, and you have to have some hot drink standing by, and you better take your pulse and relax, because you're going to have to sit there and ping it, refresh, ping it until you get in. And if you remain persistent and maintain a good sense of humor, you will get in. That's the first part. The second part is once you do get in, Don't look for the top pieces that say, oh, we have open days here. Go to the bottom, okay? Because those haven't filled up yet. Otherwise, you're going to start hitting them. They're going to go, oops, sorry, filled. Move to the next one. Oops, sorry, filled. And then by the time you trip your way down to the bottom, they're all gone. So start at the bottom and work your way up, and you'll actually get a spot. Now, each county is responsible for its own scheduling. Each county is responsible for its own administration. Seminole County, honest to God, in the 66 years I've been on this earth, I have never experienced a county, state, federal, or any governmental agency handle anything as well as Seminole County did with these inoculations. Now, you've known me a long time, Melissa.
Yeah.
When was the last time I ever said anything like that?
Wow.
Like ever?
Yeah,
Okay.
I know you can't see me on the radio, but right now I'm absolutely just in Wonderville looking.
Yeah.
It's like, are you
So what do you
kidding
do?
me?
So I went out to Oviedo Town Mall. Yeah, my appointment was for 11:30. So I got there at 11:15, expecting that I could stand in line a little bit early. The answer is negatory, Batman. The guy says, well, you have an 11:30 appointment. Stand in line at 11:30. 11:30 rolls around. I walk right in, and there you are. They check your documents. They check your driver's license, and they walk you into a room where they have you fill out a piece of paper. That process takes about 2 minutes. Then they sit you down in another spot, and somebody comes around and makes sure you filled it out right, which, by the way, I didn't. There are things that I didn't fill out.
Whoops.
Okay, this is what I do for a living. The guy said, well, gee, doc, you need to check here, here, and here also. There we go. And then from there, they take you in by number to the next room where they administer the inoculation. That entire process there took about 12 and a half minutes. 12 and a half minutes from walking up to getting the inoculation. Then you sit in that room for 15 minutes while they observe you. And then away you go. On your way out the door, they make your next appointment for you. So I walked out of there with my next appointment. I was absolutely shocked at how cleverly this thing was set up.
Yeah, it
So
sounds.
what do I recommend you do? Go to Seminole County and do it there. And I've been telling people from the villages, I've been telling people from Ocala, from Jacksonville, go to Seminole County because they're smarter than the rest of these folks.
There you go.
So, do I think it's worth it? Yeah. Okay. Am I shooting myself in the foot? But this county is really where it's at. Orange County, not so much. Seminole County, much smarter. I think they have smarter people working it.
Let's see. What are the preventative and treatment doses of zinc, and what forms of zinc work? Coldies, Zicam, any good? Got just a few minutes to wrap this
zinc
up.
is only beneficial if you have a zinc deficiency. So 30 to 40% of the population has a zinc deficiency. So how much does it take? 35 to 50 milligrams. My favorite form is called zinc gluconate or zinc glycinate. Look at the bottle. You do not want zinc oxide, which is only useful as a sunburn preventative.
Okay.
So zinc gluconate or glycinate, 35 to 50 milligrams. Do you need Zicam or Airborne or any others? And the answer is no. We have a product called Magic Minerals, which has precisely the right amount of zinc in it, balanced with selenium, vanadium, chromium, boron, manganese, magnesium.
Find Magic Minerals at stagesoflifevitamins.com, my texting friend. By the way, I had a rapid test, the swab, the PCR test this week because I had a COVID scare. And if you would like to do so, you can go to the COVID testing hotline at 407-636-3945. That's through Dr. Klein as well. 407-636-3945. Or Florida analysis. What is it? Wait. Help me out.
Florida Laboratory Analysis.
There it is. FloridaLaboratoryAnalysis.com. Dr. Dave will be back again next Sunday at 4. Say goodbye, Doc, will ya?
You guys have a good one and stay safe.
Stay safe. There you have it. I'll see you tomorrow for Good Morning Orlando. Until then, stay safe. Okay.
You've been listening to Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein. Check out stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com or stop by 1917 Booth Circle in Longwood near the intersection of I-4 and 434. Call 407-679-3337. That's 407-679-3337. Dr. Klein accepts most insurance and Medicare too. Join us next Sunday at 4 p.m. on News Radio WFLA Orlando.
move about the country.